280 this year, than have died due to COVID in the entire United States, 214. Now we do apples to apples. More children have been shot and killed by gun violence in Chicago this year, 35, than have died of COVID-19 in Chicago, a total of 6. So that is a multiple of more than 5. Anna Davlantes, radio host in Chicago, has covered the city for nearly 20 years and joins us now. Anna, when you're getting calls from folks in the city of Chicago, are they scared about gun violence or their kids getting COVID?
You know, I'm hearing from both things are affecting people's behavior. It depends on where you sit, I suppose. You know, the numbers you talk about and you have been talking about on your show, Leland, very much tell the story. If you look at 35 kids losing their lives to gun violence in the city of Chicago so far this year, one more thing to throw out at you, that's more than double the number of lives lost, kids' lives lost to COVID in the entire state of Illinois. So think about that for a second. If you want to talk about long haul symptoms, which so many of us are afraid of when it comes to COVID, what are the long haul symptoms, or the long haul impact to the children who witness violence or get shot? You had a 6-year-old child shot next to her sister who was shot and killed in the backseat of her mom's car. What's the long haul impact on a child like that? You can only imagine. What's the long haul impact to a neighborhood when a 4-year-old child gets shot and killed inside a house while he's getting his hair cut? These are the kinds of very troubling things that we also have to think about when it comes to crime, not just COVID.
It brings up an important point because we've seen, if you take Illinois as an example, the governor here, Governor Pritzker, and the mayor here, Lori Lightfoot, is emblematic of blue state governors and Democratic mayors around the country. They have been so vocal about COVID and so vocal about mandates and shutdowns about COVID, but it seems as though they don't really want to talk much about gun violence. Why?
Well, the mayor does talk about gun violence because she's asked about it all the time. I'd say some of the others are hiding more behind their comms folks and are really hard to get a hold of. The courts, I would say, is one of them. Timothy Evans, he's in charge of it. And he certainly there are a lot of questions about what's happening. But Leland, the bottom line here is it's a tremendous moment of social reckoning in America, no doubt about it. So we've seen a number of these social justice measures passed, and we've seen a number of reforms and reforms still to come. However, I'm hearing now from leaders and others who say right now they are totally in support of that. And yet now the scales of justice have shifted in favor of the criminals in some cases over law-abiding citizens. And there doesn't seem to be an answer or anybody speaking up to talk about how you solve that problem. It's a real issue.
Well, so on one hand, you have the criminal justice reform movement, if you will, that moves towards going easier on criminals and allowing violent criminals out. But on the other hand, you've got these blue state governors and Democratic mayors who can't wait to put in place more COVID restrictions. That doesn't really go to civil liberties very much. Why the disconnect?
Well, you know, in my history of covering governors and mayors in the state of Illinois, I will tell you that often the governors do not get involved in city issues. I would say right now it's a time when maybe they should. Maybe every political leader, every leader in the state of Illinois should lend their assistance to try to help solve this problem. I think that the city leadership hasn't asked for that. We haven't hard enough time getting our city leaders to get along with each other in order to stop finger pointing and come up with a unified approach to violence. When you talk about the state's attorney's office and the courts and the superintendent's office and the mayor's office, they're all on an entirely different page, and that's not solving any problems.
Yeah, especially the one where kids keep getting shot. Anna, thank you, as always. Good to see you.
Of course, Leland. Nice to see you, too.
All right. The South Dakota governor, Kristi Noem, telling President Biden, see you in court. The growing number of GOP governors are vowing lawsuits to block the vaccine mandates. We're going to talk about the politics behind that, plus how the vaccine mandate battle could